5, everyone. Welcome to Found Footage February. Fuck,
happening?
I'm running out of F words. Okay. Hi, everybody. It is Found Footage February, and we are continuing our journey through slightly lesser known found footage movies by moving on to one that's a lot like the one we watched last week, but good and does everything I like better.
I would say it's very different from the one last week.
We're gonna have a discussion.
I've got some very jarring similarities I'd like to talk about, but I can't wait to talk about this one because I watched this morning for the first time.
I'm going to lead this discussion, but let's do our introductions, shall we? Let's get to it. Welcome to another visual podcast, Horror Decomposed. My name is Zach. With me, as always, the Criterion Kid, Chris Pistol.
Hello. I am your beloved Criterion Kid. I've got a deep, cold voice.
My professor and yours, Professor Casey.
What's up, everybody? Pay me.
We're all sick.
Yeah, we all kind of feel like shit. It's not this movie's fault.
No, it's not. Just that time of year, we are all feeling a little dumpy. So
yeah, my ass had
February.
COVID
What do
the
you
last time we were recording. So I'm doing better than I was. But
Yeah.
It's never good when you get COVID in your ass.
yeah, it's painful.
Zach, are we gonna get demonetized?
we're
Oh
not
no, I said
monetized,
fuck
so-
early enough. We already
good.
did. Yeah.
Good. I don't have anything to worry about then.
But speaking of COVID in your ass, everyone should watch The Last of Us. Great show. I can't wait to see tonight's episode. It's fantastic.
It's
One of my
mushrooms in
favorite
your
games
ass.
of all time. And the series has been a very faithful adaptation. And things they've changed, I think, have been great. I've gotten Chris to watch it begrudgingly, and he's enjoyed it, as far as I know.
I've only seen the first 3 episodes, but I do intend on watching more.
Oh, it's good,
just
dude.
Poker
It's
Face
good.
has just got my attention right now.
And
It's
I'm
so good.
cool because I don't even like the games.
Casey has bad taste in storytelling.
I think we'll let the audience
Video
judge that.
games.
Let's put it up
No,
on a poll.
In this specific case, Casey is wrong. The Last of Us is fantastic. I do recommend Chris watching episodes 4 and 5 back to back because they're kind of like two-parters, basically part of the same arc.
Ooh.
So I would watch
Be like
them
watching a
back-to-back.
long movie then.
Yeah. But 4 I think is a
Episode
little shorter.
episode 3 was like an hour and 20.
Was it? Yeah, 4 is shorter. 4 is a shorter
Okay.
one. It's like
Okay.
45, 50 minutes, and 5 is
Kind
the
of found
longer
like
one.
I was watching a long movie today.
So, yes, we are continuing our found footage journey, as Casey mentioned in our cold open. You know, guys, before we get to our feature scare today, and I'm very excited to talk about our feature scare today, should we name our favorite found footage movie just in general? Because I teased that
No.
last week, so I think we have to deliver, don't we?
Nah.
Wait,
fuck
dude,
it.
I thought we just said it last week.
No, we didn't really. I mean,
remember.
I think we've kind of said it in the past anyway, but I mean, I know, obviously we know what Chris's is.
I was gonna say, I mean, if you don't know it's Blair Witch Project by now, you haven't. This is your first episode. Welcome to the podcast. My favorite found footage film is The Blair Witch Project from 1999.
I don't know if I'm gonna pop something in and rewatch it now. It's probably gonna be like WNUF or something. It's probably
Is that
my favorite.
found footage,
it's
though?
good.
That's not really
Absolutely,
found footage.
100% found footage.
Is
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
It isn't it? I guess it is. It is. It's a very different type of found footage, but it is found footage. It's a good
Same
one.
kind of found footage as this movie that we watched today.
It is. Yeah. It's
Yeah, the one we're talking about today is more faux documentary.
faux documentary found footage. Yeah.
Long pause.
I would say Lake Mungo is really great. Hell House LLC, obviously Blair Witch.
Those
The
are all
first,
good.
the first Paranormal Activity, just for its kind of simplicity and it certainly was.
I'd go as far as the first two. And then
I actually like the third one better than the second one, and the second.
Wait,
one's
which
good.
one's the third one? They all
The third
really
one's
run
one with
together.
the focuses on the kids.
Is that
It's
the 80s
and it
one?
takes place in the 80s. Yeah. It takes place
Okay,
in the
yeah,
80s.
three was probably the best one.
Yeah.
Actually, the marked ones was the best one, but it
That
kinda
one was
doesn't
good
count.
too. But I do think that franchise deserves some props. It got oversaturated, and the last 2 are not good. 3, I guess. I haven't seen the newest one, so.
Oh yeah, no, it's not good.
I don't even know
Yeah.
how many there are.
But yeah, there's a lot of found footage movies out there, but one of my favorites has always been the movie we're talking about today. So let's get to it. This is our feature scare. So, our feature scare today is Noroi, the curse. Noroi, the curse.
I was going to let you pronounce it first.
Yes, I think it's Noroi, the curse.
It's Noroi.
Noroi, the curse. Casey would know. So I've mentioned this movie probably in passing on the podcast. I've tried to get Chris to watch it before. I know. I wasn't sure if Casey had seen it. I tried to avoid Letterboxd specifically before this episode because I didn't want to know what either of you guys thought of it. I didn't even post.
I wasn't trying to, but Letterboxd was making me avoid it because it was down all morning.
I go on Twitter this morning, and Casey's like, "Letterboxd is down, but you should all watch Noroi the Curse," and he posts his rating. I was like, "Damn it!"
Okay. I was not happy with that, and of course, like as soon as I was talking to you saying it doesn't work, it started working, but it was down for like 2 hours.
So I think you guys know that I think highly of this movie, but I have not said what my rating is. But Chris, I can never quite figure how you're going to respond to a movie. Like I know if it's Wes Anderson or Paul Thomas Anderson or Edgar Wright or Richard Ayoade, you're going to love it. But outside of that, or Doctor Who related, I know it's in your wheelhouse. Or if it's like something like in the Jane Austen era and revolving around, period piece, I know you're going to like it. But outside of that, I can't always, especially
Ghost
in the
movies.
horror.
I like ghost movies.
In the horror realm, I don't know how you're going to react to something. So you're hard to decipher, my friend. So I was very curious to see how you react to this movie.
Except for very specific genres.
Yeah. You're unpredictable, my friend. And that's what I love about you. So.
Oh, thank you.
But what was your reaction to this movie?
Mixed. Mixed, leaning towards positive. Because there's stuff about it that I thought was really, really good, but then other stuff that I was kind of like wanting more of. I guess when we talk about the plot, we can talk a little bit more about that. But I feel like our lead character is a little bit of a blank slate. I mean, this is kind of through the lens of a guy who's trying to make a documentary, trying to uncover this mystery that's going on surrounding these murders and missing people. There was I think like the sort of like how it unravels was really well done because it does have this like slow escalation of events to when you get to the like end of this movie, stuff just starts going crazy. Yeah. If they had started doing that like really quickly, it would have been ridiculous. But the fact that it like really slowly builds up to it really works in its favor. There's just like a few things that I'm like, yeah, I can see like this is 2005, so I can see where this both influenced movies that came after it, but things that just kind of drive me crazy. Like, number one, why are you still filming? Kind of multiple,
especially the end. Yeah,
especially
there's one thing at the end why you're still filming. Outside of that, I didn't have that issue with this movie because it is a documentary that he's obviously putting together. You follow this paranormal researcher named Matsufumi Kobayashi.
And we already know it's gone to shit. It tells you it's gone to shit, and his house is burned down, and he's disappeared 2 minutes into the movie, and we're about to find out why.
You start with this like just omnipotent whatever narrator that's like this footage was found of this paranormal researcher. Like what we found is like impossible to believe, essentially. And so then you present this investigator's documentary, and man, Casey, what did you think of this movie? So this is the first time you saw it, buddy. I'm surprised. You
Yeah,
hadn't
and
seen
I
this before.
loved it. First thing, I got to give major props to how accurate it was to capturing Japanese TV and video from this time period.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it was edited with that equipment in this time period, but
Yeah.
as
By
someone
Japanese
who,
filmmakers.
as someone who like collected videotapes and would often get stuff from Japan, and there would be some Japanese television on it, it really fits in with that stuff. I also think it's because they got a lot of people playing like themselves from the TV side of
They
things.
did. Specifically, there's an actress who's a very prominent character in this movie named Marika Matsumoto, and she plays herself. That is her name. She's a prominent voice actress in Japan.
And I think that's, since she's playing herself, is why her character is so ambiguous what happens. But yeah, I loved that. It sucked me in. I was really into it and seeing where it was going, just because I was interested in the TV shows and the background it was giving us at the beginning. And his little like video paranormal investigations. Not that we see anything like good happen. And in fact, like the first people to really uncover any paranormal activity was a variety show on TV, and they totally could have been bullshitting us the whole time. It's kind of cool. I really like kind of like the varied approach and how the story's kind of bouncing around. And I also like how it almost has the same plot as the last broadcast, except it's supernatural, and there's no stupid twist at the end. But
There's definitely more like twists and turns, I think, in this one than there are.
oh
in the
yeah, they
last
wanted a more
broadcast.
complex plot, but I also think that it suffers a little bit from what some Japanese horror movies do, where they either explain nothing or they try to explain a little too much. And I feel like this might have been a little more successful if it explained less, because when they tell us what's going on, it's way too much of a leap for the motherfucker to figure that out, in my opinion. But there's some really genuinely creepy scenes. There's some creepy characters. Your mileage will vary on Hori, the tinfoil hat guy.
Oh, dude, I love that guy so much.
I think
He's a screamer.
I think his screaming and all that
Wailing.
shit pays off, because
He's
it
an
gets
effective
really
character.
creepy when he's not.
He's an
doing
effective
that.
character. Like you buy into his performance 100%.
I knew exactly what type of actor this actor was, like not long after he was on screen.
Yes, crystal meth. No, but
was a
when
method
he
guy.
when he stops acting like this character, the tone switch is so pronounced and so creepy that I think you kind of need him being so loud and out there for his character. He's like a conspiracy theorist / psychic that wears a tinfoil hat and suit and makes himself a tinfoil fort eventually. There's all kinds of weird stuff going on. We're not going to spoil any of the twists or turns, but we might refer to some of them a little bit. So this might be a little confusing, but I felt like it was successful. I just felt like a found footage movie has no business being 2 hours long. As varied as the sources were, there definitely was a lot of portions that were things not happening to build tension that could have just kind of been trimmed a little bit. But I did enjoy this. I gave it a very strong rating as a result. But Chris, what was some of the stuff you didn't like? Because I feel like you're the one that liked it the least out of all of us.
Yeah, I think kind of what you were talking about stuff that needed to be trimmed and that just went on a little bit too long. Like just sections where it feels like we're kind of having the same conversation again.
Yeah.
Yeah, just some of the like more investigative stuff, I guess, like could have been handled better. Like there's the classic scene where he's talking on the phone. First he goes through like several people to try to figure out what this word this woman is saying in her sleep is, and goes through several of people to try to figure it out, and then finally he lands on the person he's gonna tell him what it means, that it's an ancient demon, that and kind of go into this backstory.
No documentary would have included all that bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Some documentaries, like the small stuff, is kind of like the in-between moments are almost more interesting than like the big scenes. And so I don't buy that wouldn't necessarily be in a documentary. That what I love about this movie is it really feels like an investigation. You're following this guy and all these different leads that he picks up. The psychic tells him there's an important character that goes missing, and he's trying to look for this character. And the psychic draws a really rough map with like a blue house, and so he's trying to go around the city and see if he can find a similar blue house. And at some point, he finds one. And there's a weird character at this house that he's watching. So there's all these different leads that you follow him on.
And some of them seem dead, and then they pay off way later. Like it's just kind of cool.
I think the most impressive thing to me is there are all these. There's so many like narrative threads in this movie, and it really hats off to director Kōji Shiraishi, because they all culminate at the end of the movie. Every little thread, every little piece that you would think is unrelated to the ultimate mystery here comes together at the very end of the movie into a very kind of bombshell of a climax that it's really remarkable how he ties all that stuff together. It is a really similar to the last broadcast. It is a mixed use of lots of different types of multimedia, especially in the beginning of the movie. You get like different reality show clips, and you're not sure how everything ties together. It seems like separate because the movie starts with him just going to someone's house, and a woman and her daughter are just complaining about some like weird like baby noises they're hearing next door, and they talk about how their neighbor's kind of strange, and it just kind of seems like a dead end. There's not much to it, and so it just like spirals from there. And
you know that this director made the Ju-on versus the Ring movie,
I was just about
right?
to say that.
Yeah.
Did he?
Just about to say
Oh,
that.
I didn't know he was the one that did that.
Casey, I think me and you, did you just look him up on like Letterboxd?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did the exact same thing at the exact same time.
It's just there are all these different, like, it is long, but it feels like such a thorough investigation that you really feel like you're taking this journey with him. And I think that's the difference between this and something like the last broadcast, which is really more of like, it feels more like a news report, like a deadline, like a Dateline kind of unsolved mysteries thing. You don't feel like you're going on an investigation. You feel like you're watching a report, and then it takes a weird turn at the end of the movie. This feels like you're on an investigation the whole time. You're seeing these different clips. You see a clip from like a ghost hunting show that seems very unrelated, and then all of a sudden it connects. And you're seeing the investigator meet this girl that was on this ghost hunting show that had a weird experience. And then it continues and it continues. And, you know, there's a clip from a show where they're like all these kids that apparently have psychic abilities. And one in particular seems to be getting all these answers right when they're asking them to like guess what symbols on this that they have in front of them. And
I thought that scene was awesome.
yeah, it's great. And it just, how all of this kind of extends throughout this movie. I just thought it was so well put together as like a narrative. Then again, at the same time, there are going to be some kind of barriers for people. It is filmed in standard definition. It is not pretty to look at.
Like 360p.
Maybe, yeah.
My biggest barrier, Zach, it wasn't the subtitles. It was them putting the subtitles on top of existing.
Yeah, so that's the
on-screen bugs.
That drove me nuts.
So there are English subtitles, and like there'll be like Japanese titles that come like that are also on the screen, and like
because
the
these are
subtitles will be on top of
hard-coded
them.
subs, right? Like we can't change these.
You can't change anything. At the same time, those rough edges kind of, to me, also add sort of an authenticity to this movie. It feels more real because of that. You know, yeah, it's frustrating.
I don't know if it feels more real. It feels more 2005.
Yeah, sure, but like it
feels like a bootleg tape that I bought.
Yeah, it feels like a bootleg tape, which adds, I think, to the kind of eeriness of all of it. So, again, if you turn it on and you're like, why does this picture look like shit? That's on purpose. There's nothing you can do about it. It was filmed
I was
that way.
slightly wondering if it was going to look better on another platform, but I was like, no way it's going to look better on Tubi
It's very
than it
much
does
on
Shudder.
purpose. But you get used to it. It's good enough, you know. Like, so if you find this online and you're like, oh, this picture sucks, but I'm going to watch the movie anyway. No, it's just how it looks. Like, I remember, I think like the first time I watched it, like I think shortly after it came out, because I remember my dad and I discovering like Japanese horror movies and stuff. And it didn't look great as far as I remember, but it definitely left an impression.
This is a movie where a Blu-ray release would make no sense.
I mean, I'd still love one because I'd like to have a physical copy, but no, it's not gonna, like, as far as the picture quality, I don't think it's gonna
kind of like how they decided to shoot Romeo and Juliet in 4:3. Good move.
I mean, just like, you know, WNUF, they purposely, you know, graded the footage to look worse.
Yeah, WNUF, which we both own on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's because that's not digital though, that's tape. It actually probably looks better on Blu-ray because you're still mastering the tape. But you can't better digital a digital image that's already baseline crap. So
God, I forget.
It's never gonna look
the
better
model
than
of this Panasonic, but it's the ones that like.
That's why 28 Days Later actually looks worse on Blu-ray than it does on VHS, in my opinion.
This camera, though, that they shot this movie on, if it's the one that they actually show in the movie, and I think it is, very sought after because it's like the skateboarder's camera, and now they like it because of the retro look. Like, I have a student that bought one and a stack of mini DV tapes and a sick, like, $1,000 Carl Zeiss lens for it and shit, and he bought this in 2023. You know what I mean? Like,
oh no, kids are getting nostalgic for 2005.
Yeah, in mini DV. Yeah.
Oh god, we're getting too old.
But yeah, this Panasonic was
hair?
like one of the main skate cameras out there, so yeah, people loved it.
I do think, Chris, you talk about how the main character is kind of a blank slate, and he is. He doesn't really. He's just investigating this. He's going on all these leads. He doesn't really have a lot of a personality, but at the same time, that kind of makes you feel like you're the lead investigator of this movie. You're just sort of like, I don't know.
It could,
he's like a surrogate,
or you
sort
could
of.
just either that, or you could just feel completely disconnected from him, which is kind of where more I was, where I was just kind of like, I don't really know anything about this guy. I should probably care that something terrible is going to happen to him at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of just was, I don't know. It didn't really like emotionally land for me.
They could have added a little more characteristics for him, like him eating a burger or something, or just kind of some asides, I think.
Or just get more insight into why he's doing this, and what's at stake for him, and figuring this out, and why is he? Because that's the question of these found footage films: is why do people keep filming? And you normally have to come up with some sort of like character motivation.
I have to correct myself really quick, guys. The skate camera's the Sony VX1000, which they weren't using.
No! Oh god, we got to start.
My
over.
bad. It's the exact same body style.
Stop recording, Zach. Let's start over.
Yeah, please re-edit the episode to fix me. Thank you.
I think for me this works. This is like almost a polar opposite kind of found footage movie compared to like Blair Witch, which Blair Witch is great because of its simplicity. It's very straightforward. It's three kids. They're doing a project for school. They're investigating the Blair Witch.
Some work.
Yeah, Blair Witch is. There's a couple talking heads, and then they're in the woods, and it's just them going crazy and dealing with the elements and just the slow spiral. This is so many different threads coming at you, so many different leads they're following. But it's really successful.
Newscasts. You got bodies getting taken out of public buildings with newscasts in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this took some production value. You got that whole very convincingly shot vintage footage that was shot on film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a lot at play here, and I can get why it seems like too much, but they tie almost everything together. And
I think it's a little too much at times.
It works for me, but I can understand why for some people it's for like Chris has some issues with it, just because it is a lot and it's a lot to follow. There are silly elements. There's like a mom and a daughter you meet early on, and they're like waving goodbye, and all of a sudden it freezes, and it's like they die 5 days later.
I laughed so fucking hard.
and he just goes out of the camera and he's like, they swerved into like a median and get by an oncoming car. There's no explanation for that. I don't think that was paranormal. I think it was just a terrible accident.
No,
Yeah,
they were under the curse. It was supposed to be.
Are they under the curse? Okay.
Yeah, I know, but you could totally make a joke that's just like they died 5 days later in a car accident, completely unrelated to this documentary.
But there are some elements similar to that I do love. Like when you see some of these ghost investigations, and they'll do a rewind in case you missed it, like they do on these shows, and they'll freeze on it and play like scary music. And it's cheesy, but it's also creepy, and it's kind of like, and it's realistic to how a lot of those like Travel Channel sci-fi shows have elements like that.
I'm a sucker for it, but when they go back and look at the footage again and show that there was somebody in the background standing off in the distance, works every time.
It does.
On me.
It's just effective. It's just creepy.
It's just effective.
Or covered in fetuses.
Let's talk about
the ectoplasmic worms.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Ectoplasmic worms. There are some really creepy stills in this movie. I'm just gonna say, like, if you're like not a fan of like masks and creepy, like just weird looking kind of smiley face things, and worms.
This movie Could have used that creepy mask more.
I was just thinking
It
of a
could've.
friend that
Yeah.
had a girlfriend that was scared of masks and would lose her mind at this movie.
I'm surprised this movie didn't have like a spin-off that utilized that mask even more.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I think I remember specifically there's like a scene where they're with the psychic, and then like the image cuts, and you see like a blue thing come over the screen, and you see
You
like
know,
these
Mhm,
kind of
all
masks.
faces.
Really creepy.
guys, that mask is clearly a slee stack, though. Like the original slee stack from Land of the Lost. Here, we have a new screen share function on
Ooh.
our
Ooh, we do. We're gonna use a new
yeah.
feature here on Squadcast. Check out
It's gonna break-
Squadcast, everybody.
It's gonna break everything.
probably. Look, come on, this is the mask.
The recording gets nothing
It's
but
similar.
haywire.
It's similar. I wouldn't say it's not exactly the same, but it's similar.
Yeah, one eye is bigger than the other in this movie.
That's
It's
true.
a little different.
Still very
little different.
similar.
It's creepy, man. Gosh, dude.
Look at that fake Criterion cover.
For me, this movie
yeah.
is very unnerving, especially if you're watching it late at night with the lights off. It's a very slow burn. But there's creepy bits throughout the whole film. And I do want to say, we talked about some of the revelations without spoiling anything. What's ultimately revealed, apparently, is what's going on. Really disturbing. Like, really messed up.
Yeah, but it kind of a leap. Like, that guy shouldn't know that much to piece it together to tell you what's happening, in my opinion.
He had bits and pieces, so it's a conjecture. It didn't bother me, but it's like that's really fucked up. And there's some really creepy like images, like in the climax here. It's really a bombshell climax, and then the last like 5 minutes of the movie, which I honestly forgot about. Damn, like I mean it, almost kind of reminded me of like the end of Hereditary. And it's
Yeah,
just,
it's kind of a series of dumb decisions, but
yeah.
Yeah, I was looking up.
would you have adopted? I mean, come on.
No.
No.
No one would have let him adopt that child either. No one would have been like, "Oh yeah, sure, you were directly involved. You can have the kid. It's fine."
Oh, you just randomly found.
Social services don't
Yeah.
want to hang on to that kid just in case. But no, I was looking. I like to look up like what lists movies are in when I first watch them. And there's a popular list on Letterboxd called "Life Is a Hell: Hopeless Cinema," and this was in that list.
Hopeless
So if
cinema?
if that gives you a clue as to the ending of this movie, yeah, it's called "Life Is Hell: Hopeless Cinema."
So is the theme just like hopeless like what is the
That life is hell, and
Yeah, movies
is
with
no
downer endings.
oh, downer ending? Okay, yeah. No, it's definitely
or just downer all around, or just all
It's-
around downers.
it's definitely a downer ending. But yeah, I don't know, man. This movie gets under your skin. If you're not a horror movie person, if you're not like if found footage
The world
freaks
is
you
hell.
out,
That's what's called. The world is hell.
This is one of the scariest movies, found footage or otherwise, that I've seen personally. At least it really gets under my skin. I mean, I don't get scared by much anymore, but there's still some things here that just really are eerie, and there's something that's raw and gritty about this movie. It has its silly moments, but
Sorry, I looked up the list, and here's a further explanation. The world is hell, hopeless cinema, pessimistic worldviews for when you want to wallow in despair. It doesn't matter if we all die. Suggestions welcome.
I mean, this is an inherently bleak subgenre that we're talking about. I mean, we get disappointed if we watch a found footage movie and it doesn't end with everyone getting fucked up or dying.
I mean,
right?
found
Like,
footage is all the people in this movie are dead, but here's the footage. Enjoy. That's
Right.
Yeah.
That's like the setup for any found footage movie, basically. So
Except for As Above, So Below. That one has like a pretty believable. Well, no, it doesn't. It has a
has an ending.
an emotionally satisfying, happy ending.
yeah.
But that movie's totally ridiculous. But I love it.
Okay, so
ratings.
yeah, so let's do our final thoughts here. So, Casey, what was your rating?
Okay, I gave it a 4.5. I would have given it a 5 if it wasn't so long and if I didn't feel like some of the plot details went nowhere, like the little spirals and loops. And I just think it's a visual motif. I don't really think it needs explaining, but they started to explain everything else. Explain everything or explain nothing. I don't know, man. I really enjoyed this, and I recommend it. I think you should see it if you see it and don't like it, hey, at least you tried something new. All right, so check it out.
Chris.
I gave it 3.5. I think if you're like a found footage fan, this is definitely one of the better ones. You're probably going to really enjoy this. If you like Japanese horror, this is like, it feels very also influential as far as like found footage films that came after this. I mean, this was before Paranormal Activity, I believe.
Yeah.
And there's, it has like the classic like night camera footage of somebody getting up in the middle of the night and doing something weird that is basically what Paranormal Activity based their entire franchise
Oh yeah,
off
and
of.
it's creepy.
Yeah, and it's obviously inspired that movie. So it definitely feels like a lot inspired. A lot came after this movie that was inspired by it, but also kind of like feels like it's taking from other stuff. Like our sort of climax started to feel like kind of Blair Witchy, but I mean, I can't really blame it for that. Yeah, I don't know. I think it definitely was well made. Definitely like satisfying as far as like the ending goes. It just didn't like hold my attention the whole time. There were times when I was kind of in and out of it, I think. And yeah, it looks like it was shot on a potato, a 2005 potato.
You are also sick, so that could have influenced your perception
Yeah,
as
I
well.
also could have just been, drifting out and out of my own
It
head,
certainly
so that's-
influenced my viewing of Nope, which I could subjectively
Oh, yeah.
just go like, that's a great movie, but I was not in the best headspace to watch this movie.
Yeah, it might have fucked up my whole last broadcast viewing as well.
Which I can't believe Nope is already on streaming. I know that's just a reality we live in now, but I'm like, oh, I could just watch this on my nice TV.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got the 4K and I can't wait to watch that one.
You also got a vinyl.
I know. Spin
My
that one around.
yeah, my rating of Noroi, the curse
Noroi?
is I'm also going 4.5. I mean, you guys know I love this movie. To me, I think this is one of those movies that really benefits from repeat viewings because you see how many, like by the end of this movie, you see how much ties together at the end of the film. And I think going back and rewatching it, you really appreciate all these little things they set up at the beginning of the movie. They come back full circle at the end of the movie. And it's really impressive how they like all these little nuggets and little hints and things come together at the end. And I forgot how much there is of that in this movie.
All these little loops.
Yeah, little loops. And it's really, really impressive. Like I can just see like yarn strings him trying to piece together all these elements of this movie and these scenes, and it's very effective. And I just think as far as found footage movies, to me this might be my favorite. I think it's again, it's the opposite of Blair Witch. If your problem with Blair Witch is that it doesn't show you enough, watch this movie because it certainly shows you enough.
Yeah.
I do think it deserves to be ranked up there along with Blair Witch and things like Lake Mungo and Paranormal Activity. And
Man, I didn't mention Cloverfield. Cloverfield was the shit.
That's great too. It's a very different type of found footage.
I was
movie as
gonna
well.
mention maybe my favorite or one of the best found footage things ever was the Cloverfield trailer. Mm-hmm. Watching the Cloverfield trailer in an audience with a bunch of people was amazing.
Yeah. So
And then half of it not being in the fucking movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And then actually seeing the movie and being like,
was there ever like a director's cut of
trailer.
Cloverfield?
No. There was a Blu-ray that just came out.
Yeah. Guys, watch Noroi the Curse. It's on Shudder right now. It's fantastic. It's gonna creep you out. Again, just go with the lo-fi-ness of it. Go with some of the deal with the subtitles. It's okay. You'll be able to read them still.
Sometimes.
You're not gonna miss. You don't miss anything if you can't read it. Like in certain the moments where you
It's
can't
like
read it, you're
one
not missing
line
anything.
out of a
talking
whole
about?
scene you'll miss.
I'm saying the
anyway.
moments. No, I'm saying the moments when it's harder to read, you're not missing too much because it's only like a couple seconds, and then you can read it. Like you'll be fine. But I really do think this movie deserves way more recognition. It is like a cult movie at this point, but like more people like outside of the horror community should know about this film. And
I think
I do
more
want
people
to
inside, like looking at my letterbox, like people I follow, I think maybe like 4 people
Yeah.
fucking reviewed this movie. Like, come on.
I do want to point out Koji Shiraishi. You guys mentioned that he directed the Ju-on, or just like the Ring Girl film, and he directed another found footage movie that I've heard pretty good things about. It's called Occult, and it's on YouTube for free. It's like an hour and 40 minutes or something. I've heard it has a pretty crazy climax as well, so I do really want to check that out. That's going to be
crazy climaxes
next on my list, or going to watch it very soon. But that is on YouTube. So if you guys are interested, Occult, look it up. Came out in 2009, so a few years after this. So yeah, that was our second entry on Found Footage February. Casey and I 4.5, Chris 3.5. Check it out. It's great.
And I think between these two episodes, we've given you like 900 movies to check out if you enjoy this subgenre. But
before we close out Found Footage February, I do want to ask you guys, where would you like to see this genre go next?
Die for a while. Yeah. Look, man, after I saw The Gallows, I never wanted to see a found footage movie again. So it's a wonder that I even like WNUF and all that stuff. But the thing is, Gallows failed, so we're not being inundated with too many cell phone found footage movies, because fuck that. And that's where it could have gone, and it really hasn't yet. We could have a TikTok found footage movie. We have not yet.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, it's already going in like many different directions, like what we talked about with searching and films like that are sort of, incorporating. It's found footage, but it's also incorporating just like basic sort of like screen literacy, essentially, like screen capture, and building an entire story off of that. I don't know. The thing I really liked about As Above, So Below, which is, like not super new, but it's fairly recent, is just how like insane it was and how like fantastical it was. And you don't see that much from found footage movies. They're usually sort of grounded in some sort of like realism. But yeah, making stuff more fantastical is always, I think, fun.
Yeah, it's way more fun.
Also, like we talked about Chronicle. I don't know if we talked about it on last week's episode or we talked about it just when we were texting back and
we
forth.
were just like, we don't want to give Max Landis any props. We were texting.
Well, yeah, sure, but I mean, I still think that's a really well made movie, and one of the aspects I think is really great about it is that how they incorporate the superpowers into it, and the fact that they can use that as an excuse to levitate the camera, and you actually get like really smooth and sophisticated camera moves in that. Do stuff like that. Think outside the box.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Chronicle. I liked it better the first time when it was called Akira, but
Yeah, I mean, I think they've definitely been making. I mean, you've had like things like Project X, which was like a comedy found footage movie, which is
they tried.
Which I don't think I've ever seen from beginning to end.
Oh, I owned it actually, because it was cheaper to buy it than rent it, so I bought it. And not the best choice. Probably shouldn't have. No.
But yeah, I just keep making new choices. Keep trying different things. Think outside the box. Try different angles. You have
Where's
things
our
like
found footage action movie, bro? Come on.
I mean, you have things like there was like Hardcore Henry, but that was like a first person.
That was more like first person. Like, I don't think there was a reason for us to be seeing what was inside his head. Or
no.
You have things like Unfriended.
Really.
You had what was the movie that came out during the pandemic? Host, which is like found footage, but like through a webcam. It was different, but it was, I guess, I would say a spin-off of found footage. I've been looking at, there's a list, Paste Magazine, top 40 best found footage films. And can you guys guess what number one is?
Well, of course they're going to say the Blair Witch Project number one.
Nope.
Then they're wrong.
Cloverfield.
Nope.
What the fuck? Diary of the Dead.
Blair Witch is 3.
They're going to say Paranormal Activity then.
Nope. Lake Mungo is 2.
Creep.
Lake Mungo's great.
Chris got it. Creep.
Oh, I hate that movie.
It's creepy.
I forgot that was found footage.
No. Sucks.
Yeah, you know what I'm glad is that Mumblecore died out. How about that?
Ugh. I hate that movie because like I just hate movies where it's like the very conceit of the movie is like, nope, that wouldn't happen. that person would just leave.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely an unsettling movie, but it's not one I've like wanted to rewatch, and I haven't seen the second one. I think I just read about it. So Creep is number 1 on this list. Lake Mungo's 2, Blair Witch is 3, Paranormal Activity is 4, Hell House LLC is 5. So I'll give them props for that. Wreck is 6, Ganjim Haunted Asylum is 7, which is one we talked about covering this week. 8 is One Cut of the Dead, and I wanted to ask you guys: is that a found footage movie? It's not really.
It's
Half of it is sort of.
Half of it is.
It's not really found footage though. It's like this is they're showing like
we're
this
not
is like
supposed to see what's happening with the other. Yeah,
Right.
it's not found footage. No,
but fantastic
Yeah.
movie. Watch One Cut of
Why
the
not? Yeah.
yeah, that's
Any excuse to give it a shout out though.
that's
a great
probably
Yeah.
better than 8 of the 10 movies they just mentioned. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
9 is Host. 10 is Noroi the Curse. So and then I'm not going to talk about the other ones. Troll Hunter is 12.
I don't think
good
that
movie.
deserves to
Troll
be
Hunter
that
is-
high. I also think that Noroi is a
Hunter's
way better
good.
movie than Paranormal Activity.
Troll Hunter
Yeah.
is solid.
Taking of Deborah Logan is 11. Okay.
Okay, that should be higher than fucking some of these. That movie
Deadstream
is scary
Deadstream
as
is 14.
fuck.
Is Deadstream found footage?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, that's found
Yeah.
footage. Yeah. Cloverfield is 16 on this list. So, and
But
Grave
yeah, The
Encounters
Taking
is
of Deborah
17.
Logan's one of the most horrifying movies I've ever seen.
Where's that movie that came out during the pandemic? That was like the first
Host?
official pandemic movie.
Yeah,
that was Host.
Host is 9.
Okay.
Unfriended
No, it's not.
13.
It doesn't deserve to be that high.
Yeah, Grave Encounters 17. As Above, So Below 18. VHS 19. Creep 20.
Host was just like, yeah, you made a movie during.
Grave Encounters 1 and 2
congrats.
were pretty great, especially with the direction 2 goes to being a sequel to 1. When you find out how they fit together.
Frankenstein's Army 21. I have not seen Frankenstein's Army, but the last
Oh,
exorcism,
yeah, that's the one that
good
they
things.
ripped off for Resident Evil Village. Yeah.
the last exorcism is 22. That's a pretty good movie. I would put that higher. And The Visit is 23. That's Chris, if you have not seen The Visit, which I don't think you have, M. Night Shyamalan.
Nope.
Underrated.
The last
It's an underrated movie.
Exorcism sucks.
I haven't seen an M. Night Shyamalan movie since The Happening, maybe?
The Visit is fun. It's fun. I'll just say that. And it has some good
the trailer was hilarious.
surprises. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I keep saying fun, but it's a good time. I haven't seen Knock at the
trailer-
Cabin yet.
The trailer when the grandpa or whatever, they're like, "What are you doing, Grandpa?" And he's like, "Nothing." That was hilarious. Remember the entire theater laughed.
Yeah.
Nothing beats the trailer for Devil though, because that was at the point when
I was so
M. Night
excited for that
Shyamalan's
movie.
career, M. Night Shyamalan's career his name was such garbage that when his name came up on the screen, everyone in the theater went, "Oh."
Yeah, same. That was
And
entertaining.
that happened in every theater.
It also was great to have someone putting out a shitty elevator movie when the production company you're interning for is putting out a shitty elevator movie. Different shitty elevator movie.
Oh,
This
I
is
forgot.
a
I saw
shitty
Glass.
elevator action movie.
I forgot I saw Glass and Split.
I haven't seen Glass. I saw Split.
It's not good.
That's what I heard. All right, guys. So let's plug our social media here.
No. Wait. We have something we need to do, Zach.
I was going to do that after we plugged our
Oh,
social
people
media, but
stop
sure.
listening as soon as we start plugging our social media.
Yeah, that's
hope
when
not.
people are like, "Okay, it's over."
So we got to decide what our next month of stuff is going to be. So we got to go to our list and we got to roll the dice. So Zach,
I got
you
our
look
list
at the
in front
list.
of us.
I won't. How many choices do we have on the list right now?
Well, now we have 39, and one of
Okay.
them is Casey quits the show and you guys talk about mummies. So hopefully it's not that one.
Oh God, that's what I'm holding out for.
That happened really quickly. Crossing my fingers. Crossing my fingers. Doctor Who. Come on, cross the fingers.
Okay, so tell me when to stop, Chris.
Now,
Number 8.
All right. Next month, we are going to be taking a look at movies featuring the work of Tom Savini.
Yes, love it.
ooh,
My
gonna have to do
homie.
some.
My
Gonna have
homie.
to do some Wikipediaing for this
Yes. So that could be work featuring his practical effects or work movies he's directed. Right. So, or movies he's acted in, I guess. So
Or documentaries about Tom Savini.
So, March is going to be Tom Savini month, so tune in, everybody. Absolute legend. Cannot wait to dig into some of his work. So, yes. All right.
I've met the man.
Let's plug our social media. See, I was getting ready to turn off the record button. All right. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at AMP Horror. Subscribe to us. Subscribe to us on any of the podcast streaming platforms we're on, which is all of them. Chris, where can they find you?
You can find me on the internet at Chris Pistol on the Twitter and the Letterboxd and all the other things.
Casey.
Hello. Find me at Lucha Gringo on Twitter and Letterboxd and PSN. You can't spell penis without PSN.
You can follow me at Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd at Earth2Zach, Earth the number 2 Zach, ZAK. And yeah, just stay tuned, guys. If you want to add a theme to our list, go for it. You can just send us a message on Instagram at AMP Horror or Twitter, or write us at anothermishable.podcast at gmail.com.
We already have enough.
We have enough, but we can add it if we
and
like
the one
it,
that I
like
really
the idea.
want, it's a slim chance of getting picked ever. So
I'll hold out hope for you, Chris.
I'm gonna keep moving.
And I gotta say, look, we're talking about Savini stuff. We're talking about rare stuff. Look, man, if I could find Till Death Do We Scare on something other than someone's fucking Facebook stream, okay, also known as Zhao Sheng Papa, trust me, you guys need to see this movie. But the fucking, I gotta find a version of it we can talk about.
What is it called?
Zhao Sheng Papa, also known as Till Death Do We Scare.
Okay, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to spell that.
Guys, Tom Savini is in Perks of Being a Wallflower, so I think we found our pick for next week.
Yes. Really? He's in that?
Yeah, he plays Mr. Callahan.
I didn't know he was ever been in a non-horror movie.
He's in Django Unchained as well.
Oh, is he? I guess he is, isn't he? Fuck, I forgot about that. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed Found Footage February. And yeah, next month in March, Tom Savini. Looking forward to it. All right, guys. We will see you next time. Take it easy.